Okay. To put the right salt chlorine generator on a pool, first I need to ask, do you understand what a salt chlorine generator does for a pool? If you don't, then I'll quickly go over what salt chlorine generator does and how we can improve the water quality by using one.
You know, Dave, I've heard about them, but I really don't know too much about them. So this is a great way to help me understand what I need to know so I can make some kind of a simple presentation to the
Okay.
customer that's asked me about putting one on his pool.
All right. One of the most common complaints that uh, people who swim in pools have is the bleach when there's too much chlorine in the water, or not enough chlorine in the water, and most often when the water is green, uh, people tend to pour too much liquid chlorine into the pool, and you can't swim for an hour or 2 hours because it's too concentrated. Now, when you have that strong smell, it's not because there's not enough chlorine in the pool. It's because there's too much. It's because there's not enough. When you look at the content of liquid chlorine, it's the free available chlorine which is doing the sanitizing the water. And in liquid chlorine, free available chlorine is about 16% of that. So the other 84% is going to be, or the other 84% is going to be bleach and additives, which causes the smell, causes the dye clothing, and the uncomfortable feeling when you're in the water. So when you use a salt chlorine generator, you're now adding 100% free available chlorine to the water with no additives at all. So the first thing you can tell your customer is that it changes the water experience 100% from what they're used to now. By using salt, you're acclimating the water to the salt level in your skin, which makes the water feel softer. So not only do you not have the bleach, but you have a softer feel when you're swimming in the water. So it's more comfortable, and your customer's going to enjoy swimming in the pool more than they do now. So are you clear with that, or you have any follow-up question?
No, I think I understand what you said. What you're saying is you're just adding free, pure
Pure,
sodium hypochlorite to the water without
absolutely,
any of the side effects.
exactly.
Okay,
So
I get that.
so all salt chlorine generators, by using salt, tend to do that. What we offer are units that customize to each customer, each individual pool, residential, commercial, however you have it. You know, we have units that fit their budget, units that fit the water. So I can go over the different styles of chlorine generators that we stock, and that we can sell to you, and you can give options to your customer.
Well, that's good because I've got one typical customer who's just a backyard pool and doesn't swim in it a lot. But then I have another customer that's interested, that's a hotel, and he has a pretty big bather load. So I'd be interested in knowing both,
Okay,
as long as
so
we keep it to 20 minutes.
sure. Let's start with the residential.
Okay.
For the residential, we have three different size salt chlorine cells to accommodate three different water volumes. We have up to 28,000 gallons, up to 42,000 gallons, and up to 52,000 gallons.
Okay.
So most residential pools fall under that 28,000 gallon category, of which we can offer the digital nano unit. It's the most affordable and price competitive unit on the market. It has a digital display, which makes it easy for you to see and the customer to see what exactly the unit is doing. Um, and it's a simple plug-in and 220 hookup to your power supply. Um, if you have bigger options for the residential, you got the digital 220, which can accommodate the bigger cells, the 42,000 gallon and the 52,000 gallons. Now this is going to now that because it's got a bigger power supply, it's going to be a little bit more. But we also offer a price competitive unit that can handle the 42 and 52, which is the soft touch. Now the difference between these two units do exactly the same thing. They both can handle the 28, 42, and 52,000 gallon cells. The only difference is one has that digital display, other has flashing lights. So it's a matter of aesthetics. If the customer is not too into the whole digital display, you can provide a less expensive unit that does the exact same thing.
Well, you know, some of our people don't speak English or know how to read English, so that soft touch sounds like a good option for some of my technicians.
And for the customers who don't speak English, if they do like the digital also can be programmed in different languages.
Oh, really?
So you have more options for the customers that don't speak English.
Okay.
Now, for commercial pools, we can size any size commercial pool by adding multiple cells to that system. They're commercial cells that go in line together. You have a power supply that has a power module that runs each cell. And if you have a necessity for more than what you see here, this is like one complete 6-cell unit. You can add multiple units with multiple power modules and multiple cells to it. We have tech support available that can take the water volume and the bather load, all the information you have, and it gives you a chlorine demand and tells you how many cells you're going to need based on that chlorine demand.
Okay.
So we can help. We can help size it and also help give installation assistance.
Okay.
Any other questions on those?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Basically, also some commercial and residential customers prefer ozone as a sanitizer as opposed to chlorine, because ozone is more effective than any other sanitizer on the market. It kills 99% bacteria all the time. But the only thing with ozone is it leaves no residual. So if your pump's not running, your ozonator is not doing anything to sanitize the water. So what we have in conjunction with that ozonator is the salt chlorine generator. So we have what's called the co-pilot. You have an ozone generator combined with a salt chlorine generator, so that not only does you have an ozonator killing 99% of the bacteria while the pump is running, but you have a salt chlorine generator that is leaving a residual while the pump is off. But with the ozonator working, it's going to make that salt chlorine cell last longer because it's not going to be working 100% of the time.
All of our pools are outdoors, Dave, and so we also get a lot of debris and stuff, vegetation blowing into the pool and all that kind of stuff. Does the ozone help with that, or is it just for the bacteria?
Well, the ozone does help with that because it may leave. It does help with the bacteria while it's running, and then the salt chlorine generator helps while it's not running. So it does help with debris that may leave bacteria, such as phosphates tend to get in the water, so it does help with that. I mean, you still want to test your water, once a week, twice a week on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
But this definitely makes the process a lot easier and keeps the bacteria from forming or even staying in the pool.
Okay. Good. What else do I need to know?
Basically, if you want to know about if you have if your customer has questions, you can also direct them to the website. The website has a frequently asked question section if they're not sure and want more information. They also provide manuals and brochures if you want to provide those to your customers. And our tech support line is available to you 5 days a week. And any questions you have, we're here.
Okay. How often do I have to add salt to the pool?
Salt you have to add to the pool. Well, basically, the units tend to run at a salt level of about 3,000 parts per million, which is what it's recommended at. Once you get to your initial 3,000 parts per million by adding the salt to the pool upon first startup, You really only have to add salt to the pool maybe once or twice a year, and I only say that because salt doesn't evaporate. So the only way you lose salt in the water is by splash out. So the salt level may go down if you have lots of parties and water splashing everywhere all the time, or if you're constantly backwashing the water to waste, you're going to lose some water there. So your salt level is going to tend to go down. So really, you only tend, and with that, you only tend to lose about 500 to 1,000 parts per million, maybe 3-4 months at a time, depending on how much the rate of water loss. So you basically only adding salt maybe once or twice a year after installation.
Yeah. This one pool has a gas heater on it. I'm a little worried about corrosion because I've heard that salt can cause corrosion.
That is not true. Salt does not cause corrosion. It can cause corrosion to stainless steel if it gets above a certain part per million level. So if you're with the system running at 3,000 parts per million, you should be safe. Anything above 6,000 parts per million is where you're gonna worry. And if you're at 6,000 parts per million, that means you're twice the level where you need to be, and there's too much salt that's been added to the water. So so as long as you maintain that 3,000 parts per million, then you won't have to worry about corrosion at all.
Okay. How about staining? Because those gas heaters have Cooper-Nickel heat exchangers.
The staining is only going to be if there is a level of corrosion, and also if you're using a certain type of salt. There's certain types of salt that have a chemical that's called YPS, which is yellow appreciative soda, which can, if clumped and left on the surface, can stain. That's not in relation to the Cooper-Nickel, but again, the heater you're only going to worry about if your salt level is above 6,000 parts per million. Anything above that is not going to affect the heater at all.
Mm-hmm. And how long does the cell last?
Good question. The cells have about a 10,000 hour lifespan to them, which at an average rate of 8 hours per day can tend to last 2 to 2.5 years. So you're going to be replacing the cell on an average of about 2 to 2.5, sometimes 3, depending on how well the pool is maintained, years at a time.
Is that both for residential and hotel pools?
Now, commercial may not necessarily. The commercial pools may go through cells a little bit quicker because the Bailey loads tend to shift higher, lower. So the commercial cells tend to last about a year to a year and a half. So I would say I would be safe with replacing the cells once a year with commercial cells. You may not have to. Again, it all depends on how well that pool is maintained, how often, if that bather load is heavy or low. But a year is a safe number to say how often you're going to be replacing commercial units.
How do I clean the cell?
The cell can be cleaned by simply it's plumbed into the system with the unions, so you can unscrew the unions and slide it out once the pump is off, of course. And you have titanium blades inside that cell. So it's got 1.5 inch threading, female threading on the inside, which you can use to plug off with a simple 1.5 inch threaded plug. You're going to take a solution of 3 parts water to 1 part muriatic acid, and you're going to pour that into the cell and let it sit there for about, I would say, 45 seconds to a minute, maybe even 1.5 minutes, depending on if you see any kind of scale formed on the cell. You're only going to need to clean that cell, though, if you see any kind of scale formed on it. If you pull that cell out to inspect it and you see the blades are cleaned, you don't have to clean it at all. So you can just screw it right back in and let it operate.
Do I have to add anything else to the water?
Well, you still have to add muriatic acid and other chemicals to the water. Basically what this unit does is it creates a softer water for different swimming experience, and it replaces the liquid chlorine that you're using. So as far as other chemicals, you're still adding them, but what the chlorine generator does is it keeps the chlorine level at you're not fluctuating high too much or too low, so you're not going to be adding as much chemicals to compensate for that chlorine.
How about cyanuric acid?
Cyanuric acid, you're still going to need that. The cyanuric acid is still going to be serving as the sunblock for the chlorine loss. So you're still going to need, your 100 parts per million or your 80 to 100 parts per million of cyanuric acid to keep that chlorine safe.
Is there anything else you want to tell me, or should I know everything I need to know now?
Well, I've told you basically everything you need to know as far as what you need to share with your customer and what experience how it's gonna benefit them. But as far as price goes, you can go to we can discuss that, or if you have any other questions, we're here. It's all the time.
I don't have any more questions. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.